Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Real Heroes Show. Nick here with you. And in today's episode, I will be jumping into Doom Patrol Season 3, Episode 4, entitled Zombie Patrol. Yes, that's right, everyone. We have a Halloween episode, and of course, it just fits in with the ghosts and the ghouls and the zombies and the vampires and also the weird creature stuff that we usually like to enjoy here during this month of October. And one of the best parts of this episode of Doom Patrol is that the gang turns into zombies. And one of the cool things about this is that they all talk like in zombies, which you can't really understand because it's all, but it's subtitled out in English for us. And Vic seems to be talking or cursing a lot more in this zombie language than usual. The only thing that they can actually enunciate while in zombie mode is brains, which I thoroughly love this episode. It was so much fun. I think it would have been a lot of fun to actually film as part of the crew, and being on the cast, of course. So let's just dive in, right? So the beginning, we see Willoughby with Niles' head as he's talking to it, tries to make amends with a horse that has a nail in its head. It's again, we got ghosts from horses in this, but he has a visitor, so he has to go meet the Doom Patrol, which he does just in time because, of course, we see Rita sabotaging Madame Rogue's time machine, and she can't go anywhere or prove that it is a time machine or that it works. So Vic is tasked with fixing it. Of course, he doesn't really get very far because of turning into a zombie and having a very much needed conversation with his father, which we'll jump into in just a moment. But when Willoughby arrives to the scene, of course, with Niles' head, Niles says, "I can fix them. I can cure them." At one point during this episode, but of course, his head is taken by another visitor. Or the visitor that comes in front of Willoughby, basically holds his head ransom. It's a kind of a revenge take on what the Doom Patrol did to this guy. I think it was in season 2, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been season 1. Either way, revenge is on the table here, and they go to confront him in a barn, and it seems like it's like a suicide or serial killer type of a feeling here, and the guy basically turns into a werebutt, not a werewolf, but a werebutt. And again, as I said, this month of October has a whole bunch of different type of weird creatures, and of course, why not have something that turns into a werebutt? It's just a giant butt that turns into this, man-eating thing. With a giant mouth and its butthole looks like the Sarlacc pit from Star Wars. Craziness, but I enjoyed it because it's just weird. I want to say it's safe to say, hopefully it's safe to say on YouTube here, but the Doom Patrol eats ass. Yes, in this episode, not literally, but I mean kind of literally, right? Like Jane says, "Just eat it." And Rita takes a bite and says, "Oh my God, it's horrible," even as a zombie. I'll let you kind of go with your imagination there as a viewer as to what you want to think about all that. But anyway, that whole scene in the barn was hilarious. I mean, you got Larry with the chainsaw. He's just slicing people again like a chainsaw massacre, right? And you got Cliff, smashing werebutts with his fists in the ground. You got Larry and Vic. Pulling it apart, split down the middle. I mean, it's a whole lot of blood and gruesome scenes, which is obviously all CGI, but still pretty hilarious. And then, of course, one of the werebutts gets away. More on that later. And so one of the obviously the interesting parts that I mentioned before, where there's a conversation between Vic and his father, and going back to the previous episode 3, where Vic has a conversation with his mother in the afterlife about choices and having his father had another choice, and we learn what that choice was in this episode. Was there a synthetic skin, which again was experimental, much like the cybernetic experimental procedure that has made Vic into Cyborg. And so there's this, look on his father's face when he realizes, oh crap, like I have to tell the truth. And again, the truth comes out, and Vic isn't very too pleased behind it because of it, because we see it towards the end of the episode. He holds up a mirror and he has it right here in his face. So the mirror reflection of the reflection, like the tray he holds up, it would basically show him as a full and complete normal looking person. I was going to say a real boy, but that's just a Pinocchio reference. And again, it's just, you kind of feel bad for Vic because all he wants to do is feel normal, and kind of how Madame Rogue kind of, I don't want to say gets on him for saying, is that aluminium? Like, he's like, no, that's part of his face. It's real. It's not aluminium either. And the whole thing with Madame Rogue and her mysteriousness about figuring out who she is, and finding an old film and watching it, and we don't really see something until the end of the film, because it looks like someone we know that's in the film on the side. So more on that probably then within the next episode, what I would imagine. Again, that has to do with this connection between Rita and Madame Rogue. So I imagine tension is going to increase as we move along with this season, especially between those two characters. Another weird part is where you've got Larry that keeps throwing up blue stuff, and we think it's because of the whole zombie thing, but he's got a little bump in his stomach as well. And I was like, oh, did he somehow get pregnant? But it doesn't seem like that either. So I'm really curious as to see what that means in terms of Larry and Negative Man for this for his character in this season. But again, the cool part where you got Willoughby with the flaming sword, he pulls out in the barn. It very much reminded me of I can't think of the character's name offhand, but in Game of Thrones, and the one of the when it was still good. I think it was in season 7 when the sort of fellowship, they all go to be on the wall to confront the Night King, and the paladin, he kind of pulls a sword out and he does this little thing with his hand and along the sword, and he just lights it on fire to fight all the whites. So that was a pretty cool. I don't know if it was an homage or anything like that, but still pretty cool to see. And again, I think the whole part of this episode in particular wasn't just about it being like not necessarily a holiday special about being the zombies in the month of October, but more so just about finding closure with Niles, because at the end he says they can save them because of this chemical that the brain produces that zombies want, that he found out in his studies, that he can cure them. All they have to do is eat his head. And there's that touching moment with Jane where she picks up Niles' head first, and she says, I have so much to say in zombie talk, but then she just says brains. Has some tears roll down her eyes, and then she eats them, starts taking a bite, and they all take turns. And again, funny part of you got Cliff, who's he's made out of metal. He can't taste anything, can't really eat anything, but he still does manage to eat it, and it still fixes him to not turn into or to go back to normal from being a zombie, right? So, and then post scene is them kind of having some drinks and watching TV, and he's just asking the questions. So what did it taste like? And another interesting point of where Larry says, the one thing about being a zombie was there really wasn't much to think about. It was just brains, and that's it. It was very simplified, and not much to dwell on, much like we have in our normal daily lives. There's always so much on our plates and minds and things to do, but zombies got it easy. They're not living much, of course, not like you or I, but at the same time, they only got one thing on their mind: brains, and it's that simple. Whereas I have much more on my mind. And as we close out this video here, the last thing I'll say as far as just finding closure, again, I think Jane was the one who didn't really get to say goodbye But after the pact that she had with Cliff about, kind of doing her part and being able to move on and kind of say goodbye once and for all to Niles. I don't know if that's the end of Niles Calder, though, this season, because we're only 4 episodes in, and I'd like to think we'd get something from him later on, but we will see. So what do you guys think about this episode? Do you guys think it was funny, hilarious, cool, creepy, all the above, of course weird? I'll throw that in the mix as well. Where do you think the season's going? Do you think after 4 episodes, we're basically a third of the way through, do you think Madame Rogue is going to figure out who she really is and become a villain as she is in the comics? Or do you think she'll actually try to help the Doom Patrol here, or maybe a bit of both? Leave your comments in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel here, again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the like button. Turn on the bell for all of our future content. We got a bunch of new content coming out with Foundation. We got Venom, Let There Be Carnage coming out. We have Guilty, that's Jake Gyllenhaal's movie on Netflix. We have Saints of Newark, which is the prequel to The Sopranos on HBO Max. Ted Lasso, as always. We got C, the finale of What If on Disney Plus with Marvel is next Wednesday. Again, after a week from now, we've also got No Time to Die with the final Daniel Craig James Bond movie, and plenty more to come. So stay tuned for all that, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.